And
So
yep.
let's define truth as correspondence with reality.
Okay. Yep.
And so that this would be the knowledge at each level is all corresponding with each other accurately with high fidelity.
With high fidelity. Okay. So this brought me to Romans chapter 1 verse 17, where Paul says, it's like something like, for therein is the righteousness of God revealed. And he's talking about the gospel from verse 16. But that the righteousness of God is revealed through the contents of the gospel, the truth of the gospel. But what's the bridge? It's from faith to faith. Okay? So there's a place where faith touches some other faith. And I think that if you take that and you go to Romans chapter 10 verse 17, so therefore faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. And then you think of Galatians 5:6, which is for, I think, something like for circumcision or uncircumcision availeth nothing but faith that worketh by love. And Colossians chapter 3 verse 14 says that charity is the bond of perfection. And so there's a lot of things to tie in there, but the basic thing that I'm getting at is that the line that brings the agent to the truth would be the line, and the conduit itself that structures it has something to do with a faith to faith, and that faith is strengthened or made perfectly ready by charity or love. So there's this integral connection between sensing what is true and accessing faith in some way, and that faith being motivated or motored by love, working by love and charity, and that charity is the bond of perfection. So there's something there that I'm loosely seeing.
Right. So we need to define faith too, which is very key. So I think when we define faith properly, or if we try to, it really opens up what you're saying a lot. A lot of westernized Christians, they think of faith as a way which we can make unprovable things true, like unprovable proposition claims true. Mm-hmm. That is not what faith is. Faith is not something that, let's just go to Hebrews 11:1. Okay. It is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And then all the examples that you get after that are people doing things. Like Abraham did not build the ark, neither did Moses. But Noah, when he builds the ark, if you look at the definition of faith, let me go there if you don't mind real quick, just to spell this out. If I go to Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1, and I bring this up on the screen, that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, for by it the elders obtained a good report. It doesn't mean they believed something they couldn't prove to be true.
Right. So by means of it, right? So there was some sort of performance that allowed them to interact with the set of circumstances in front of them with fluidity, or with a flow.
Yeah.
With a
interact with the circumstance. Yes, interact with the circumstances in front of them with fluidity, agency, purpose, and meaning. Mm-hmm. So by faith, Abel believed a bunch of propositions he couldn't prove. No, that's not what it says.
Right.
Look at Noah. By faith, Noah believed a bunch of propositions he couldn't prove. That's not what it says. He moved with fear, preparing an ark to the saving of his house, by the which he condemned the world and became the heir of righteousness, which is by faith. Abraham, by faith, when he was called to go out into a place, just believed a bunch of propositions that he couldn't prove were true. That's not what he did with faith. So we could go on and on and on through these, and it gets kind of ridiculous after a while, but faith is like a loving commitment to bring something about that wasn't there before, that is better for you and for others. And the highest example we have of this is Jesus Christ, who took on the responsibility of something that was not his problem. just like the sin of the world was not Noah's problem, but he still had to take the action, take responsibility to build a boat for his family. So he takes the responsibility, he bears the cost of it. In the case of Jesus Christ, it cost him his life. In the case of Noah, think about what it cost them what a disruption of the manner of living it was to go through the flood. But you survive. And then all of mankind has him to thank for being alive. And that pattern of being able to take responsibility for something, to bring something to pass that was not there before, kind of like a bridge builder, where you commit in faith. We walk by faith, not by sight. Like you're building a bridge. I do not see the bridge there yet, but I am operating in faith that if I continue to follow, like design this blueprint and build this bridge, that some people can cross this bridge. And you have to have faith to do anything like that, because you can't see it before you do it. You cannot see the bridge before you start. You cannot see the end state of the effort of your faith before you start. Now I start talking this way and people start saying, oh, you're trying to talk about work salvation, and I'm not. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. But the living faith of a Christian has this, like you were saying, the correspondence with the fluency of, what was it you were saying, with agency and fluency towards something.
Right. Well, you were saying that faith has something to do with the evidence of things not seen, right? Per Hebrews 1:11, right?
Yep.
Or 11:1, sorry. So the bridge is the thing you can't see, but also before you moved into like the scriptural understanding of it, you were saying that the truth as this little orb is also something that you can't see. You can't make pointers at it through proposition sets, and you hope that the proposition, or at least, let's say, at least the language space is properly pointing to each procedural level, so that when it gets to the level of participation, the line of participation to the thing that is true is with fidelity, and it's making a corrected line of convergence, so that the truth just pops right out with fidelity.
Right. So we have a pointer at the thing, but you need a bunch of pointers at the thing, and even with all the pointers, you still don't have the thing. You have to have a relationship with whatever the thing is, and those pointers can help you build that, but they are not it. So it's like the difference between complex and complicated. Certain things are complicated, like God would definitely be in the realm of complex. And if you can describe something with finite propositions, it is most definitely not complex. It can only be complicated. Therefore, you cannot, with finite propositions, say completely true things, like exhaustively true things about God. You can say things that aren't false, but you cannot have exhaustive correspondence with reality about God when it comes to the complexity of God using finite propositional truth claims.
So to get a little bit of an understanding, to keep people along here, because this is something that I came across, the complex and the complicated, and I don't think I have it fully or even coherently formulated. So let me just give an attempt at it. So I understand the complex to be, let's just say, the internetworking of the orb of what's true. And what is complicated is the interworkings of the agent's attempt to attune itself with the arena or with what is true, and the
in any particular instance
up of that.
Yep.
So
well, not necessarily mucking it up, but there you could have a recognition of your capacitative limits, and you're not necessarily mucking anything up. You just recognize the lack of exhaustiveness with which you can operate. So the infinite numinous cannot present all of itself to you at any one time. It can only present it to you in an a particular instantiation. And you can interact with that instantiation, but you have to, the proper relationship with the infinite numinous is to recognize that particular instantiation of it is not it. It is just a particular instantiation of it with which you can interact. And if you can interact with it, then by definition, it is not the thing. It can only be complicated. It can't be complex. So,
Okay.
But a whole bunch of interactions with the infinite numinous can help you point to the complex.
Right. Okay.
To give you a sense of it.
Gotcha. Because that's something that's I'm still trying to get a hold of what Jordan Hall's kind of talking about. With
Well, some people confuse the Bible for God. The Bible is the Word of God, but they treat the Bible like it's God. I think somebody said in our last FSI meeting, they said something about worship. I think James might have said something about worship in the Bible. Do people worship the Bible? And absolutely they do. It's just like if a window was built so that you could see what's through it, some people might worship the window instead of just use it to see what's through it.
Right. Right.
Just use the thing to see what's through it and quit worshiping the thing as if it's what you're supposed to be looking at.
Mm-hmm.